All right, everybody, welcome back to Multi-Gen Collectibles here on YouTube. If you're not following us on Instagram yet, please follow us on Instagram, Multi-Gen Collectibles. For those of you that have been watching the shows here on this channel, all these episodes that I've been posting, thank you so much for watching and supporting. If you're not following the channel yet, please do so. Give us a follow, a subscribe, maybe even a like, maybe even some comments. Please feel free to engage with the videos. I want to hear the comments. I want to hear the feedback. And hopefully you're enjoying the stories behind the cards. Today we're getting back into the blue container here, the Rubbermaid Tupperware container. And we're going into, I believe, maybe like part 5. If you remember in the last video, we dipped into the non-sports cards. We dipped into the Lion King set. And I believe that's from like 1991 or 92. And man, let me tell you something. Between my wife and kids, you're talking about the ability to recite every dang line from the movie verbatim. And every song is sung at the highest volume possible. Now today, we're getting into 3 small subsets from the late 80s and I believe 1990. So let's dive in. As I reach into the container, we're going into the Diamond Kings subsets from Donruss, okay? Let's do this. Let's go into the 1988 pack first, okay? Let's do 1988 Donruss. I'm going to try to pull these out as gently and delicately as possible. Let's see here. I'm going to believe that these were purchased at a card show, okay? Because for these to be stuffed like sardines into this team bag, it only makes sense that they were purchased at a show from a vendor. All right. I, in my 9-year-old, 10-year-old self at the time, would not have put all of these into this pack. And I doubt my grandmother would have done the same. So here we go. Diamond Kings, for the very first time opening this pack, probably ever. I don't even think I looked through these, to be real with you. And I don't even think my grandmother looked through these. If my mom bought them, I'm sure my mom didn't look through these either. So here we are getting the first look in over 35 years of the Diamond Kings Donruss 1988 set. First off, Donnie Baseball. Then we have Glenn Davis, followed by Steve Bedrosian, Frank Viola. I remember Viola. Gerald Perry, Harold Reynolds. There's the checklist. All right, so we have the checklist. I'm going to set that down because that should be in the very back. That's card number 27. Dave Henderson, look at that. They even drew him with the smile, right? They even drew him with the smile. The artist, Mr. Perez, got it right. Henderson is always smiling. Vince Coleman, Jeff Robinson, Mark Grace, Fred McGriff, the crime dog, Kirk Gibson, the hero of the 1988 World Series, which I don't want to get into, but I'm sure Dodger fans are very grateful for that heroic performance. Andres Galarraga, Dave Schmidt, Johnny Ray. Whoa, Johnny Ray. For those of you who know about Johnny Ray and what he was most famous for, at least in his antics, you know. Johnny Ray. Rick Russell. Kevin Seitzer. David Cohn. Corey Snyder. Carlton Fisk, one of the greatest catchers of all time. If not, some people consider the greatest, between him and Yogi Berra, maybe even Pudge, Piazza. Tony Gwynn, greatest hitter in history, hands down, right? I think we could all agree on that. Greatest hitter for average ever. Some would even argue better than Ted Williams. Robin Yount, Chris Sabo with the goggles. Pete Incaviglia, Bobby Bonilla, and Mike Greenwell. Notice there is no Barry Bonds. And if we look at the checklist, we're going to look at the checklist. Greenwell, Bonilla. Yep. I do not see a Barry Bonds on this 1988 collection. All right. So that's where we're at. So Mr. Perez, the amazing, talented artist, thank you for your talents. And now we're going to move it along. I believe this is 1989. Look at this. The tape is still on here. The seal has never been broken in my possession. And to be clear, I want to remind everybody, these cards were in my grandmother's home for many years. From about 1996, when I moved back in with my grandparents, to about 2023, after she passed away. So we're talking 25 plus years. Now, for some of these cards, for example, this sealed set, again, I don't know if I bought these. I don't know if she bought them. I don't know if my mom bought these. So it's hard to say how long these have been stored. But I will say this. I know I never looked at these. I know I never opened these. Once they fell into our possession, we never took the time to actually go through them. And for that reason alone, we're talking about 30 years plus. So, you know, these are 1989. Actually, no, these are 90. My bad. So these are 1990. So we're talking 35 years. Okay? We're talking 35 years. Here is our checklist, number 27. And we're going to lead things off in the 1989 set with Barry Bonds. Not in the 1988 set, but here he is in 1989. There you go. Still with the Pirates at this time. Moving on, we got Chuck Finley. We have Pedro Guerrero. Ooh, I remember Guerrero with the Dodgers and then moving to, I believe, St. Louis. Kurt Stillwell. Greg Olson. He was a sought-after player, a sought-after card in the late 80s for sure. Brian Harper. So was he. Dave Righetti. Bob Welch. Former Dodgers, and then was part of the A's championship run there in 1989. Remember, this is the year that the Oakland A's won the World Series, 1989. Rafael Palmeiro, Matt Williams, Dave Magadan, Edgar Martinez, and if I'm not mistaken, I want to say this is either a second year or a third year of him. Ramon, look at that, Ramon Martinez. Older brother of Pedro Martinez. Ryan Sandberg, Hall of Fame, legend. Sandy Alomar. Oh, look at this. We're going to go back to back. Sandy Alomar, Roberto Alomar. Wow, look at that. The brothers. And of course, we know that they did play together for some time in San Diego with their dad as manager. Delino DeShields, Ron Gant, Roger Clemens, which we can say is one of the greatest pitchers of all time. Top 3, top 5, with or without steroids, with or without PEDs, easily top 3 or top 5 pitchers of all time. Lenny Dykstra, Dave Parker, look at that look. Oh man, that is such a great painting. Such a great piece of art. Barry Larkin with the hat turned down. Look at that. Such an iconic photo. Cecil Fielder, Prince Fielder's daddy. We have one more there underneath. Craig Biggio. Look at that. Man, the detail, the lighting, the shadows. Beautiful piece of art. And Dave Steeb. All right, so this is the 1989 Diamond Kings collection. Okay, and man, these are just beautiful. The artist, I want to say his name was Frank Perez. Was it Frank Perez? Or I think it was Frank Perez. Mr. Perez, or Perez, as some people would refer to him, I think from the early 80s, when he started the Diamond Kings collection with Donruss, he was their go-to artist for almost 20 years, which is phenomenal. And then started switching things up in the 90s, mid 90s. All right, here we go. Our last pack of Donruss Diamond Kings. We have our card number 27 checklist right here. And as we thought, this is 1990, okay? So we have 88, 89, and 90, which means these were either purchased in 90 or 91, maybe even 92. We're going to kick things off with the greatest athlete of all time, Bo Jackson. Vincent Bo Jackson. Next up, Steve Sachs, Ruben Sierra. There he is, the kid, Ken Griffey Jr. Mickey Tettleton, Dave Stewart. Look at that smile. One of the greatest players, pitchers of the 80s and 90s. Jim DeShays, John Smoltz, Mike Bielecki, Brian Downing. And if I'm not mistaken, I want to say there was some error associated with this Brian Downing card. I don't know what the error was, to be real. I just remember as a kid hearing something about a Brian Downing error in the drawing. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Couldn't even tell you. Kevin Mitchell. Between him and Will Clark, man, that was a crazy duo in San Francisco to basically go up against the Bash brothers of Canseco and McGuire. Kelly Gruber, Joe McGrain, John Franco, Ozzie Guillen. Look at that. Ozzie got in. Lou Whitaker got in. John Smiley, Howard Johnson, Willie Randolph with the Dodgers, Chris Bosio, Tommy Herr, Dan Gladden, Ellis Burks, Pete O'Brien, Bryn Smith, and Ed Whitson. So here's the question. Which one of these sets is your favorite? You have 1990 with Bo Jackson and the kid. Okay. You have 1989, Barry Bonds. You had Palmeiro. You had Williams. You had Edgar Martinez. You had Ramon Martinez. You had Sandberg. You had the Alomar brothers. You had Delino, who was exciting to watch for a few years. You had Ron Gant, who was exciting to watch. You had Clemens. Thigpen was even a strong pitcher for a couple years. You have Parker, Larkin, Fielder, Biggio. I don't know, dude. I think 89 is kind of tough, to be honest with you. 88, Don Mattingly, right? Viola, Reynolds, Henderson, Coleman. Who else? Grace, Crime Dog, Gibson, Galarraga, Schmidt. Not Mike Schmidt, but the other Schmidt, Dave Schmidt. I don't know, man. I'm going to say this is going to be a hot take. Bobby Bonilla. Here's my hot take. Between these three, 88, 89, and 90, I don't know, bro. I'm going to give my nod to the 1990 '89 set. I think this was the better set. The better players, I should say. However, I kind of feel, and this is just my opinion, I kind of feel like '89 had the better players, but '90, I feel like '90 had a different style to the card. And I almost feel like the artwork was a little better. I don't know. What do you guys think? I do like the dark background. I like the dark background back here. I'm not gonna lie. I do like it. But is it the overall better set? Yeah, in my opinion, I think '89 is the better set. So, let me know what you think in the comments. Agree, disagree, agree to disagree. It's all good, all right? I apologize again about the dogs barking. I'm trying to mute them out as much as possible or drown them out with some music and my voice as well. And guess what? We have another episode coming up after this one. We still have a whole bottom row. The whole bottom row we haven't even gone into yet. So let's take a sneak peek, all right? Taking a sneak peek. We have this. Look at that. We have this little case to open, okay? We have this case to open. Haven't even touched this. All right. We also have this to go through. You don't even know what's in here. Look at that. Black gold? What? Black gold. And then we have more and more. All right. So thank you for watching again. I appreciate it. Engage with me. Let me know your comments. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions. Share your thoughts. For those of you who grew up in this time, in the 80s and 90s, what are your thoughts? What do you think is the better set from today? All right. Enjoy the rest of your week. If you're watching this after the holidays, after the new year, then I hope that you had a wonderful end to 2025, and I hope you're having an amazing start to 2026. All right. So thank you all for watching again. Please send us a comment, a like, a subscription, and follow us on Instagram, Multi-Gen Collectibles. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good one.